Troy said he is just showing up as his authentic self. After all, that's all he know how to be. And that people are just taking his affection out of context. And he is in fact 150% ready to love. He want to know, could it be with you? Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Siobhan Patrice. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be reviewing season 4, episode 4 of Ready to Love, titled Sipping Wine. So the ladies all met up at Club S, which is the destination that Tommy has appointed as their sanctuary space, where they all come together and drink wine while spilling the tea about what's going on in their dating and meeting up with the guys, trying to establish a connection. We first see Stacy come and say she's excited, about that day, and that she miss her sister friends, and she's looking forward to getting with them, to see what everybody else had been up to for the week, and see if people are experiencing the same thing she is experiencing so far. So Tommy come in with his law and order look. Tommy always looks nice in his outfits. I don't expect anything less from him. He sits down and speaks with the lady and tell them that the focus of this week is actually to get a little more personal with the guys, and that he encouraged them to have one-on-one dates, whereas they can, be able to peel back some extra layers and get into who these men really are, and to see, exactly if they have a match with them. If it's anything about the guys or whoever you're going out with that's not really a good fit for you. And so he encouraged them to, on purpose, ask questions. Ask the questions that you think you really want to know the answer to. The questions that's going to be a deal breaker for you, or find out, whether they will be the deal breaker for you. So then you see Tressa, and she was like, well, normally when I go over people's house, I don't be going all through their stuff being nosy. But Tommy said, so, yeah, I'm going to figure out, who got the herpes medication. Really? Okay. All right, Tressa. So the first couple we see is Vernisha and my baby daddy, Joel. Vernisha shows up to Joel's house. He has a very nice home where he has prepared breakfast for her. And she come in and he give her a nice long hug. And he says he's a little nervous. But once he gave her that hug, girl, my baby daddy says she feel like all the partying going on at the Zulu Bowl. He said she's so nice and soft, and he can find himself really, getting comfortable with that. So she comes in, and he has little fruit bowls. He has bacon, eggs. He has a little pretty rose flower arrangements. And they sit down and have a conversation. So then Vernisha goes on to, say that she puts her kids first. And it's important that she connects with somebody who will be able to blend in, with her kids. And the fact that Joel has kids of his own who are the light of his life, she feels that he will be a good fit for her. And she asked him about what he was going to be doing for the rest of his day. And he said he was actually going to finish off his outside kitchen. Yeah, my baby daddy said he good with his hands, y'all. I like that, though. And then he goes on to talk to her about the relationship he had with his ex-wife. And although she is no longer with him and the children, that she is still very much a part of, his story and who he is and the man he has become. And so Vernisha asked him, did the death of his wife actually change him? Did it change him for better or for worse? And he said it definitely changed him, but not for better or worse. It just, he just shows up differently, because of that experience. And, he don't make no apologies for it. And she goes on to tell him that, she feels that he's a good guy, and she really likes the way that he lights up when she is speaking with him and he's talking about his kids. And he was like, wow, you noticed that? And, she said, yeah, because that's something that's really important for her. And she even asked him, why her? Him having a connection with her. And he said, because, with him being a single dad now, it's important for him to make a connection with somebody who he feel has, stood the test. And that, in fact, she was a single mother to her daughters, and she made it happen. She made it happen for them. Her family is in a beautiful space, and he has to respect her hustle in that. And so, at the end of the day, he is looking to settle down and find love with somebody, and someone with those qualities would be a good fit for him. So next you see Alexis and Troy go on their date. And Alexis is excited and looking forward to this date because she want to set some records straight. She said, Troy, he need to get it together. And she's just trying to figure out, did he really promise everybody else trips like he promising her? He got the same, rap for everybody. And so she shows up, and sure enough, Troy didn't even learn a new line, y'all. Other than he added butterflies to the end, it was the same spiel he was telling everybody at the brunch. So at any rate, he kisses her on her forehead, and they exchange pleasantries. And she tells him, I know you realize that I haven't been responding to any of your text messages. And he was like, yeah, And so she's like, well, the reason why is because you around here, I don't feel exclusive with you. You around here kissing up on everybody, and you promising everybody trips, and you just gonna be a lover to us all. And he was like, no, that's not true. No, I ain't kissed nobody. Even today, I didn't try to push up you in that manner. She was like, you kissed me on my forehead. You don't remember that? He was like, nah. Well, if I did, I guess it, no, I don't remember that. I was like, this little fella right here. She goes on to tell him he just needs to be careful about what he's saying to these other ladies, because if, he is going to be about her, then he needs to stick with that. And she understands that this, is a dating experience. However, you don't have to, just try to play everybody for a fool, basically, is what she said. And she wanted to know. She out and out asked him, who's your number one? No, am I your number one? And then it went off. So good for Alexis. However, I don't know why she wasting her time. She already said at the brunch that she felt in her gut that he wasn't authentic. Okay, when a person show you who they are, believe them. Yeah. So next we see KJ Smooth and Amber, and they're at the boxing gym. And this was a really, I guess to me, this was a really cute date. We were able to see the softer side of Amber. She has, in other episodes, showed up very alpha-like. And she acknowledges that. She has that presence about her. And so, in my opinion, during this date, she was so soft, and she just showed up in her whole feminine self. And so it was really cute to see. And I think that allowed him to, gain a little more masculinity to the way he handles himself in a situation. So she seems to really like him. And they showed up, and he told her how cute she looked, how she looked like, a chocolate queen. And he did the little announcement so she can get in the ring, and, asked her was she ready to, show him how she gonna fight for him. And she was like, sure, bet, come on. And she was working it too. He was like, she was throwing some good little punches. She almost knocked me over. So I think Amber's smitten, y'all. I think she's smitten, and she really ready. And so it was a really cute date. And after they sparred a little bit, they sat down and have a conversation. And he was like, tell me something about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your background. And she goes on to tell him how at 5 years old, she was adopted. However, just recently, she had been able to connect with her biological sister after all these years. And he was like, wow, we kind of have a similar story. And then he goes on to tell her about how his father has 11 children with 9 baby mamas. Yeah. And that when he was 30 years old, he was finally able to meet some more of his siblings that he had not known. And so he kind of saw some similarities in that. And then she went on to, he was like, wow, so you're a whole attorney. And she was like, well, actually, I don't tell this to everybody, but I'm actually a DA. And he was like, oh, wow, a DA. And she was saying, yeah, and she just kind of gave account as to why she don't share that with everybody, and that, people already, or men are probably already, a little gun shy and taken aback by her position of working in the court system as an attorney. And if they found out that she was a district attorney, they would be a little more gun shy, and then they're not really as supportive. And I think that's sad and unfortunate, and especially in this day and age where it's not uncommon for African American women to hold power positions. And so, however, even though they hold the power positions and stuff, this to me just showed where we still have some work to do in that area, for as far as guys, giving grace to women who hold power positions at work, and giving them the grace to know that they don't necessarily have to in turn transition it to when they come home. And so you can show up masculine at work and be 100% feminine at home. And so KG was like, well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to support, gain companionship and love up on somebody. Because at the end of the day, this is real for me. I'm ready to really, settle down and find my soulmate, my twin flame. So then you see Stacy and Super Dave on a fitness date, actually. Stacy invites him to come to her Pilates studio where she works out, to show, that side of her, how she is in tune with her health and fitness. And when Dave came in, she kind of ragged on him a little bit for being late. And then she's instructing him on how to use the machine, she jokingly said, well, you're a little bit older than me, so I know that I wouldn't want you to hurt yourself, so please be careful. And he was a little sensitive to that joke, because he said, well, I just want you to also be careful of the way you joke. And I don't know. Like I said, I thought that he took that a little sensitive. However, that's what he said to her. And he, as they were working out, he kind of said, though, he is very impressed by this, and that he is indeed looking for someone who is conscious about, her shape and her health and fitness, because his love language is touch. And when he in the bed, he might want to rub his feet on you, or y'all can rub feet together. Or, yeah. Mm-hmm. So after their little workout, they have a seat to talk, and he asked her, how does she feel about him? Do you think this can be something that we could explore together? And she, said sure. She likes him. She feels that, he's a nice, wholesome guy, and that, she can possibly see that happening. She's looking, for somebody to be serious with. She goes on to ask him about trust and where he see trust in a marriage. What does that look like to him? So he said he believed in true transparency, and that she was like, okay, well, she felt that she, that was a red flag for her. And in fact, while she agreed with transparency, she also believes in privacy. And so she asked him, so does this mean like you have to know the passwords to my social media accounts and all that stuff? And he was like, I mean, yeah, why not? I don't have nothing to hide. You don't have nothing to hide. I mean, it shouldn't be, passwords for the phone and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I feel we should know each other's password. And she was like, yeah, this is probably not going to work. And she just said, he was very passionate about his opinion about that. And it didn't match hers. At the end of the day, she said that he is confusing privacy with secrecy, and that's a deal breaker for her. And so then we see Jason and Alexis fly, and AJ and Liz, they did a double date where they was at the sports bar and they were playing cornhole together. And Alexis didn't show up so fly this time, y'all. I this little outfit, yeah. So she has a particular style. And so, she's still Alexis, so she competitive, she a little jive talker, which is kind of cute banter. It could be seen as cute banter. However, she was all talking, no action. Because Liz, where she's not all flashy with the fits or anything, but she's precise. And so she was hitting those holes with those bean bags. And so, of course, her and AJ won. And then both couples separated. And Alexis went to have drinks and sit on the couch and talk. And she asked him, how was he doing? And he was saying that, he was just trying to get adjusted. He's just so used to seeing her as a parent. So trying to embrace her as a potential mate was a little challenging for him. But however, he was going to put in the effort to see where it could go. And so they sit down, but the body language was just like, he was all the way over here and she was all the way over there. And she was facing him, so you can tell she was open and ready to speak with him. And he was all squinched over in the corner like, oh, yeah, it just was really different. I thought that was different. But anyway. So then he goes on to ask her, so, what do you think when we get to have our one-on-one date? It's just the two of us. What type of things you have in mind? Or, what do you think that should look like? And she goes on to say, well, first of all, I'm a stickler on time. And so initially I thought like meaning being on time. But then she goes on to explain that time was one of her languages, and she actually meant it's really quality time. So I'm assuming that's what she meant. So quality time is a way that a person shows her and feeds her emotionally as to them making a connection with her and seeing, they value her in that way. So she said, I'm not into fancy gifts and diamonds and pearls. I'll accept them though, but, spending time with me shows me that you really care. And then it got a little weird because Alexis then said something about also when it comes to that time of the month. And he was like, what? Okay, oh yeah, all right, well, wait a minute, let me take a sip. Okay, wait a minute, I gotta get my mind right. And it went off. And I was like, I hope she is not going to talk to him. Anyway, I'm not going to take my mind there, but that's nasty. What in the world? Anyway, we didn't see the rest of that conversation. That probably was for the best. But then you see AJ and Liz, and they're talking, and he says how regal she is. And he tells you even showed up with your cape on. And but I think that's who, and he mentioned to that she just shows up full. And she just, when she shows up, her full self shows up, and it's just something about her that makes her special. And so she, thanked him and everything. And then she said, well, a question I have for you is, how do you feel about intimacy before marriage? And he kind of looked, and she was like, well, let's be specific. Sex before marriage. And then he asked her, well, are you celibate? And she was like, no, but I'm abstinent. He was like, okay. But you have had sex though, right? And she was like, I mean, yeah, it's not, but my thing is that, I prefer, from this, where I am in my life right now, I prefer to give myself to somebody who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, and, somebody that's special and important to me, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry. And he was like, you messing with people, you know Tom, Dick, and Harry? And she was like, come on, that's just, that's the old saying that people say, and he laughed. And then he kind of gave an account that while he's done that before, he's held out and took being sexual with one another off the table. However, he believes that he gonna need to try it out, because some things are just not teachable in a manner, or he is not gonna be able to, teach some things to somebody, and so he needs to know that we are sexually compatible prior to, making a commitment. So holding out until the wedding day, him and Tressa probably need to have a conversation. But a lot of people feel that way. It is what it is. I can agree. But that's what she at the end said. Well, my standards are my standards, and I'm not necessarily willing to waive them, not even in this process. And so I was like, good for her. I know that's right, because I feel as women, a lot of times we show up, with intentions and standards and all of those things, and then, we allow those standards to be chipped away just because, I don't know, maybe you feel that you have to have somebody, or, you really liking them, and so you feel you kind of need to take some things away to make sure, there's a connection. And so I kudos to her, in my opinion, because she is standing strong on her beliefs, and her standards are firmly set. And so I thought that was good. So next we see Ron and Chris Chrysanthemum, on a date. They're on like a little old school game date where they're playing Connect Four and Jenga, I think was the game that they were playing. And so Ron walks in, and Chris was like, wow, he looking good. He look better now, today. Yeah, I'm liking this. And so then after, playing Connect Four where she won, and then they played a little bit of Jenga, they sat down to have a conversation, and he asked her, so what do you need? What do you feel you need in a relationship? And she was like, I'm looking for a true commitment. I'm actually looking for a life partner. She said she's looking to settle down. She's looking for a provider, a protector. Those are all, traditional values that she is expecting when she make that connection, with the one that's fit for her. And that's what she hopes to find on this journey. So in his confessional, he was like, yeah, well, provider and protector, I got that. I do that all day long. So, he's like, okay, I got this. So then she asked him, what do you think? Are you ready to settle down? And he said, well, for men, it's a little different, because men go through phases when it comes to being ready to settle down. However, he does feel he is at that stage now. When he was younger, he wilded out a lot. He was the oldest sibling, so that he didn't really have an example as to, what a man's supposed to look like as they show up in the world. And in fact, he was incarcerated at the age of 18. And so he is grateful for those experiences. However, he was told about the importance of going to college, and making a better way to be able to provide for yourself. And so that's what he did. And so she was like, she could appreciate that about him, and that, but at the end of the day, she kind of looking for a best friend. She's looking for a best friend and a soulmate. And then he goes on to talk to her about, well, I don't have no problem being those things, but, what I'm looking for, like, I need you. I want somebody who knows and understands the value in that. And while I can be the provider, the protector, and, give a person all those things, however, I need to know that you want me, and you want me unconditionally, and every time you see my face, you kind of light up and you are excited to be in this union, and that you want to be with me. And so that was important, and I kind of talked about that in the last video, that men need to feel needed. That's something big for them. They're physical creatures and they need to be needed, whereas women are emotional creatures and they want to be needed. And so he just kind of mirrored those two together when he talked about the dynamics of the relationship that he's looking to get in. So then you see Liz and David. And Liz comes to his home. He greets her at the door with a rose. She's excited about that. And he, escorts her to the dinner table where he fixed the meal. He's ready to get this thing started, and he can set the tone to maybe what this relationship could be. So they begin to talk, and they both acknowledge that, they have a connection with each other. When they first met, they were able to connect to each other, and with them both being Christians and kind of having the same standards and values when it comes to what they want the journey to marriage to look like, that they felt that they was a good fit. So of course, they definitely both wanted to explore more about each other. So Liz asked him about his growing up, how was that for him? And he was like, man, my mama was strict. We couldn't have no phone calls, no girlfriends. He said, matter of fact, when my mama answered the phone, she was like, praise the Lord. And he was like, wow, why you gotta answer the phone like that? So however, he said, he grew up in a strict Christian household. But when he went off to college, that was all new to him. And that freedom, he was like, yeah, bet. So he wowed out a lot. And so he said, I left the church. However, I never disconnected with God. And she was impressed by that. And he said, he felt like, he was a prodigal son, because even after all of that wilding out, he came back. And it was like he never left. And he is still God-centered. So then Liz goes on to tell him about her 17-year drought as far as her not being a part of a committed relationship for 17 years. And he was kind of taken aback, and she was like, it's been situationships, but no real commitments to one another. However, she feel her going through those experiences and the time by herself gave her what she needed as, the woman she is today, knowing where she wants to be when it comes to settling down with somebody. And so then David goes on to talk about how women always ask for men to be open and honest with them. However, he finds it rare that when that happens, that women provide the space and comfort for them to be vulnerable without being judged. And that he didn't necessarily see that being a challenge with Liz. He felt she was a genuine person and she could definitely provide that space for him. So in that, he goes on to tell her that, he got married young. His first marriage was at age 19, and neither one of them were old enough to know what it was really supposed to be like. However, he married again, and that marriage only lasted for a year. And not only was it short-lived, but she actually walked out on him. And so he never really says what happened in it, whether it was infidelity or whatever it was. He just said that it hurt him. And it hurt him so much that he kind of has some, a bit of anxiety around getting into another marriage, because he doesn't, want anybody else to do that. He don't want to ever feel like that again. And so she was receptive to that. She didn't judge him, and she actually said that she felt that because he had gone through those experiences and the fact that he was open and vulnerable enough to express it to her, that she respected that and she could see how that could be of value to their relationship and a progression towards it going possibly towards marriage. And so she was like, yeah, I like that. I mean, he got a little emotional and everything. So the next thing we see is Tommy, where he's meeting back up with all the ladies to talk about their experiences of the week. And that, the purpose of this show is, are you ready for love? And you are going through this journey, towards love. And he asked, anybody feel like, they might have, found a little something, something in somebody. So then Vernisha is at the end of the table and she kind of cleared her throat. And he was like, okay, so you went out with Joel. And she was like, yeah. And she was all blushing and everything. And she told about, how they had a nice breakfast and he had roses for her. And, they was able to talk and, they connected really well. And because he, was a single parent and she was a single parent, she felt that they will be a good match for each other. And so Tommy was teasing her, saying how her, she was blushing so hard while she was talking about their date that her eyelashes was going like this. And so I thought that was cute and funny. And so then Tressa was like, yeah, Joe, he a little something, something. And then, I was sitting there all cheesing and grinning like, yeah, my sloppy seconds, that's my baby daddy, yeah. And so she just expressed some affection towards who he was. And so Tommy asked her, so what is it about him for you? She was like, his looks, his little twang and, his skin tone, his body, just, he just seems like a down to earth, authentic dude. And so she was like, yeah, I like him. And so I thought that was cute. So then you see Liz is like, listen, Linda, let me tell y'all, me and Dave had a date and it was all right, And so she went on to tell about their date and how, she felt they made a connection prior to this night. However, she feel, with him being able to be open and vulnerable to her, it just kind of solidified her feelings towards him a little more. And then Amber, she talked about her and Chris' date. And, she was all giddy talking about her date. And I thought that was a really cute date. Like I said, I felt it was the one time I saw Amber in all of her femininity. She was so soft. She was beautiful. She just showed up, with all her softness. And she really just, came down and submitted to his masculinity with her femininity. And that was cute for me. And so she talked about their little date, and Tommy was like, so you think you got a connection, huh? You feeling a little something? And she was like, yeah, I think so. And so then he asked Chris. He was like, all right, Chris, so what the flower say? And so she was like, well, the flower then found a little something that's been hiding. But yeah, and she said, I like Ron. Me and Ron went on a date and we had a good time. And, I think there could be something there. And so she also was like, yeah, he checked off a lot of my boxes. And so everybody was like, I know that's right. And so Alexis, who when she came in, Alexis came in actually to that session like, yeah, I need to get here because I need to figure out Troy and I need to see if he's still going around telling everybody the same thing he's telling me, because I want to be exclusive. Then Tommy asked, okay, so we know who everybody feeling, so who's not feeling who? And so then he asked Stacy, and Stacy said she's not feeling Dave. And then she went on and said, yeah, because he want people's passwords, bank account numbers, passcode to everything that you have, want to read your diary. And everybody was like, what? And so, somebody else said that they felt that, you know, he was bringing some of insecurities from his past into like what could possibly be for the future just through them having a conversation with him. They picked that up. Then you see Liz, who was like, well, you know, I hear all of that and that very well be true, but that's not going to change, you know, where I am and how I feel about the connections we've made. I was like, good for her. You know, her and them standards, you know, I like her. I like that she's sure about herself and she's sure about the way that she feels and she honors that about herself. It's no wavering. He asked, who is she not feeling? She was like, you know, not AJ. Because her standards are her standards, like she said. And she asked, he answered. There was no right and wrong. It was her truth and his truth. And she took her truth and now she's moving on about it. And so, you know, like I said, kudos to Liz. I like her. I believe her to be one of the people who's really ready for love. I said that on the first episode. So then he asked Kara, who she didn't like, and she said David was out for her. And she asked Alexis. Alexis said Troy. Vernisha said AJ and Troy. And Liz said Troy. Also, he got, you know, his little kissing. He just kissing up on everybody, and she's not down with that. And so then Tommy said, okay, ladies, well, you know, we got to do. He said, however, you know, the way I do it and the way it needs to be done with me is it needs to be done respectfully. So then you see Liz and she say, you know, she's a little nervous for Dave and, you know, she really want more time to get to know him. So, you know, she hopes he make it through. So then we see that they have picked Stacy to talk with Troy, and they've picked Amber to talk with Dave. And so Stacy shows up, and she's already seated at the table. And Troy shows up, and Troy, he's just, yeah, he's 100% certified creep. However, he comes in and he was like, oh, look at you, we matching, and she's so sexy. And you can, just the way he look at women, he looks like it's a piece of meat. I mean, it's not, it's like, no, it's horrible. Point blank in the period. It's just horrible how he shows up. But anyway, he is coming, you know, thinking he coming on a real date, trying to get to know her. So she goes on to tell him that, you know, the women are concerned, you know, that, you know, you're trying to kiss up on everybody and your little kissing antics, you know, is making people feel uncomfortable. And he was like, really? I think they're just misinterpreting, you know, my gesture of towards them, you know, because that's not what I do. And she was like, yeah. And so she goes on to tell him, you know, that you taking everybody on trips. And she actually told him, no more trips to the third date. You need to wait to the third date before you mention another trip. And he was like, yeah, you know, the last time we went out, when I woke up, I was like, was that really me? I can't believe I act like that. I'm like, this man is a clown from way back. Oh my God, he is horrible. So then, you see Amber talking to David, and Amber has got, you know, she back stoic again, and, you know, she's talking to him actually like a prosecutor. No softness. It was just kind of straight to the point, saying that, you know, a lot of women feel that you are bringing your past forward, and, you know, they don't really see where that could be a connection for them. And that, you know, you need passcodes to everything and passwords to everything. And straight up, he was like, so, okay, so that was the date with Stacy, you know, so he kind of called her out on that. And he was like, you know, at the end of the day, what I see a marriage to be and the marriage that I want is that it's going to be 100% transparent. You know, my marriage is going to be where everybody is so safe and secure in this thing, and that we're going to be wide open. And telephones are not even going to matter. So, I understand, that may be what she said. And so Amber went on to tell him, well, that was the way you made her feel. And then it goes back over to Stacy and Troy. And she tell him, well, the ladies don't feel that you're really looking for love and that you're not ready for love. And so therefore, you're not going to be moving forward in the process. And she asked him, was it anything he feel he would do different, the next time, or if he had the chance again. And he just kind of made the statement that, for him, if he is told something that somebody don't like about him, or if he's made a mistake and it's brought to his attention, he feel he learns from that mistake, and you will never have to worry about him making that mistake again. However, he probably gonna make another mistake, but he won't be making that mistake. And he said that he just feel like, he felt that the ladies misconstrued, how he was coming off, and they saw it as aggressive when that's just who he is. He said that's his authentic self. He don't know how to be no other way. As a matter of fact, he feels he's ready for love. So much so, he feels he's 150% ready to love. And he goes on to look into the camera and says, so, could it be you? And so, yeah, Troy ain't changing, y'all. But, I think that was the best person they could have chosen to take out of the equation, because Troy was there for a hookup. And, I don't know. Sometimes they put people in play, in these reality shows for certain things. But he bought it. He was a hot mess. You see Amber talking back with David, and she said, well, some women, had some discrepancies about, the whole secrecy and privacy thing. The lady still felt he was ready to love. And then it was no real emotion, but it was nonverbal. Let me say that. He still 100% believed transparency is important in a marriage, and that privacy is also. However, secrecy was a deal breaker for him. And so another good episode. I don't know. I probably give it maybe a B- though. It was kind of slow. I don't know. I thought it gave us a lot of insight, but maybe not enough excitement. I don't know. Anyway, another good episode. I'm looking forward to next week's episode. Again, my name is Siobhan Patrice. I thank you so much for joining me in reviewing and recapping Ready to Love episode 4. And until next time, I love you to life. Life is a journey. Always choose yourself first and enjoy the ride.